Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another all new full episode of the Narrator Podcast. The Narrator Podcast is the home of original people, peace, reciprocity, and positivity. Welcome all my narrators. Welcome anybody new that may be unfamiliar with the Narrator Podcast. Today we're going to learn you. So, before diving into the content, just chit chat with you for a little second. So we got a real busy weekend. Today is the 17th of June, and then or what is it? I said 17th, Saturday. So tomorrow is Father's Day. And so I always want to send a warm narrative podcast. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Original men, we are underrated and underappreciated, many times undervalued. You know, we got all these movements, black girl magic and all that, but we kind of get kicked by the wayside. Like anything that happens to us, we just get told to man up and deal with it. We don't have any special movements for us, but I just want to take this special time to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I mean, the real fathers, original men handling their business, raising their own children, or whatever, or the children with the person they're currently with. I'm not big on calendar holidays, but like Mother's and Father's Day, I think are really deserved holidays because you can never really fully appreciate, that value of getting bought into this onto this physical plane. It takes a woman and a man. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers. And so sidebar, you don't have to be a biological father. You can be a grandfather. You can be an uncle. You can be a big brother. You can be a nephew, a cousin, whoever. Wherever, if you was influential and affluent in a young person's life, helped change somebody's life around, cared for a human, life, helped them get from infancy into like adulthood or maybe the teen years, like Happy Father's Day to you. It don't have to be relegated to just donating sperm. But also, y'all got to set y'all Father's Day gift appreciation up, because Mother's Day, they got it locked down. They get breakfast in bed. They get brunch. They get shopping sprees. They get like these immaculate thought out gifts. All dads get is the crappy tie, and especially in our community, they're in charge of the grill, the Father's Day cookout. They got to cook. It's their day and they got to cook. And then they try to use reverse psychology. Oh, daddy, it ain't going to taste your ribs. Now, me, myself, I don't eat meat. I don't know. I done said that on many, many occasions. So, don't eat meat at all. But I'm just saying, it wasn't all that long ago. But I can relate to the holiday. We grilling and chilling this weekend. Our people, in addition to Father's Day, it is also Juneteenth. Yeah, I'll be, spoiler alert, I'll be talking about that later on um, in the segment. But now that I got the pleasantries out the way, the introduction, just the icebreaker out the way, I'm gonna dive right into the content by giving new listeners a brief overview about what my content is about and what I'm trying to accomplish in this audio space that I'm occupying. So let's get to it. I mean, all my narrators, they already know the demonstration. I'm just going to break it down for all the newbies listening today. So let's get to it, starting at the top. Narrative. What does that mean? What's the significance of narrative? How did I come up with that? Well, I came up with that because the media weaves a false narrative about original people and original culture. I'll get to the original in a second. So they just intentionally misrepresent our people and our culture. They play up, all the negative stigmas and nuances within our culture and about our people. And it's intentionally done. They do it for mainly for profit, to sell news. Also, to control the minds of the masses. They try to market us a certain way to a certain demographic. So they want everybody, outside of our culture to treat us a certain way. And a certain way is dispensable, disposable, not of value, not being worth considered as alive or our lives matter. And then they also do it to maintain a power structure, a socioeconomic power structure. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to keep themselves at the top of the food chain by making people, not dominant society, aka whites, look a certain way. Especially our people. They do it to everybody, but they love doing it to us. And the reason why they love doing it to us, because, not saying we're superior to anybody, but we are the most affluent of every other civilization, every other culture. Everybody looks to us for our example. They copy our clothes, they copy our food, they copy our slang, our way of life. It's all copied and mirrored. So, we're everybody's like blueprint. Everybody models themselves after us to some small capacity. And this is in the shot that, any other culture, any other race, any other ethnicity, any other nationality is just a fact. Not a biased opinion, the actual factual fact. Hip hop is the number one culture in the world, and we created that. I mean, it's a big debate, of all the participants, all the originators, but for sure, we had a hand in it. That's undebatable. In all circles, that we had a major hand in that, a major hand in creating that. But anyway, so yeah, they intentionally misrepresent our people, intentionally, make us out to be, all these negative stereotypes. And what I wanted to do is create a platform where I'm basically providing the answer to that. And how I'm providing the answer is to provide positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, because everybody outside of our culture is given negative frames of reference about us, and then we ourselves are given negative frames of reference about us. And as I said, it's all psychological warfare. They do it to program and condition the minds of the masses. Um, they're basically trying to get us and people outside of our culture to, normalize the condition that many of us live in. They're trying to, get us to normalize poverty, normalize being uneducated, normalize being loud, boisterous, ratchet, aggressive, violent, lazy, amoral. They're trying to break down our resistance and get us to accept that as normal and be that, as a representation of us. And that's not a representation of us because now I'm getting to the original part. We were and are the original man and woman of this planet. We're here 5,000 years before everybody else on this planet. Masters of all we surveyed, creators of all things. We originated everything. We originated, spoken language, written language, inventions, mathematics, science. We originated medicine. But anyway, I just wanted to glaze over, that's just a glaze over of the original thing, but I'm gonna go more in depth into that in a second. But yeah. So basically, my overall takeaway, I want people to get out of my content, that listen to my content, is how important it is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture on whatever platform they occupy online. Because we're living in the digital age, and whatever you post online is, often associated and equated to you as a person. So just imagine if we're always, as a people, embracing the negative stereotypes that's projected about us, if we're always posting gang culture, gun culture, pimp culture, whore culture, thought culture, F-boy culture, drug dealer culture, drug addict culture, violence culture, posting those videos of just random acts of violence, public fights, us fighting in the eye of the public, each other. So just imagine, if that's all the frames of reference people outside are given to us about our culture and our people, think of how they're going to perceive us as. It's not, this podcast isn't, me or like anybody listens to this podcast. I'm not saying we should worry about, what people outside of our culture think about us and how they perceive us. This is just us, setting the record straight. If you want to tell our story correctly. Period, point blank. Don't put out the narrative you want to about our people and our culture. Put out actual factual facts. And that's what I'm urging everyone that listens to my podcast to do, is to put out actual factual facts. What we should be putting out, online and out in the atmosphere is stories about leadership, stories about entrepreneurship, unity, family structure, being productive members of society, giving back to this thing we call humanity. Being the leaders that we are, the natural born leaders that we are, being, the upright kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. That's what we need to be, the image about our people we need to be projecting at all times. because we're already viewed and stigmatized a certain way. So we need to always, put it in perspective and, you know, not have them get it twisted and misconstrue us and, broad stroke us and make generalizations about all of us. You know what I mean? Have the negative stereotypes and stigmas be the representation of us as a people. Like everybody got negative stereotypes and stigmas within their culture, but that's not how people see them as a people. But it's only us. Sidebar right quick, like we gotta start breaking the cycle, like, and stop embracing stigmas they put over us. Like there's no such thing as black on black crime. Crime is crime. Caucasian people kill Caucasian people in Caucasian neighborhoods. Asian people kill Asian people in the Asian neighborhoods. Spanish people kill Spanish people in Spanish neighborhoods. Like, whatever race, whatever neighborhood they are in, there's always going to be a criminalistic element. They're going to commit crimes against each other. But the only difference between everybody else and us is the media will say black on black crime. That's the only difference. You never ever heard the phrase Asian on Asian crime. You never ever heard the phrase white on white crime, Italian on Italian crime, J word on J word crime. You never heard that. Now, before I dive into the content, I want to further break down this original thing. First and foremost, I refer to our people as original people on my platform, as opposed to the word black. And the reason being is because, like I said earlier, we were here 5,000 years before everybody on the planet. We originated, everything. Everything comes from us. However, people that didn't look like us, people that we were nice enough to take in under our wing and show them how to live, how to survive on this planet, they took and flipped the narrative on a whole lot of things. And the biggest thing they flipped the narrative on is written language, especially the word black. Now, like I said, we originated written and spoken language. When we originated the word black, it meant all things positive. It meant, power. It meant opulence. It meant beauty. It meant sophistication. It meant intelligence. Like all things, it meant like godliness. It meant cleanness. But when they got a hold of the word, they colonized it like they colonized everything else, flipped the narrative, and attached everything negative to the word black. Now, black, is associated with everything negative. You go in any English dictionary, and look at the word black, and it basically, how they got it in the English language especially, is death, destruction, chaos, the end of all things, darkness, wickedness, evil, misfortune, unluckiness, strife, suffering, pain. All that is equated with the word black. And then you go look at the inverse. just to make sure, we're not bugging, we're not, just reaching for something. Go look at the word white, and you will see everything means holy and pure and good and serene and calm and orderly, sanitary. Well, if you think we're still reaching, also look in the dictionary and you'll notice that's the only color in the color spectrum in the dictionary that denotes nationality. Because they will say, they usually define black in a dictionary. Also, like people. It's the only color that, where people is an example of it. It'll say something along the lines of black, dark-skinned people, descending or originating from Africa, or people possessing a dark pigment descending or coming from Africa. You can pull out your device and look it up for yourself. In front of your computer, type it in the browser, black. I ain't bugging. I can do it right now and read it. But something to that effect, and then you go look up the word white. And why is that so important? Because, us as a people, we're acting out and living their definition of the word, their definition of the word black. Especially here in America, if you look at our condition as a people, we're living out strife. We're living out pain. We're living out suffering. We're living out death, chaos, destruction, ending. Even more to the point, the legal definition of the word black. You can go to the Library of Congress and look it up for yourself, fact check me. Because we believe in the power of words. Once a word leaves your mouth, it manifests into reality. The legal definition of the word black is dead. So every time you're calling yourself black, you're saying you're dead. And like here in America, this is why the police, shoot without any prejudice and don't care at all. Won't flinch. Have zero conscious about it. Dropping a black body. Not just law enforcement, but just random Caucasian people. Yeah. I'm not reaching. Go ahead, fact check. So you're giving your legal rights away to say you're alive. But then also, like I said, the reason why I refer to our people as original people versus black, because the word original doesn't have any negative connotation surrounding it. Original basically means, first, unique. There's nothing else like it. First, nothing else like it, and in many cases, the best. You want the original copy. Everything's, pardon the pun, pale in comparison to the original copy. Not only that, it also unifies us as a people, because there are many different types of us scattered all throughout the globe. We got politics separating us. We have religion separating us. We have language, culture, upbringing, spirituality, all these things that, we are different on. But one thing we got in common is we can all trace our lineage back to Africa. We all possess melanin. We are all original people. Africa was the original continent. We all come from that, no matter where you're at in the world. And then, you know, spoiler alert, contrary to all unpopular belief, we was, originally here. We was on every single corner of the globe originally. Originally. We didn't all get there via slave boats, especially here in America. So while chattel slavery was real, while the diaspora was real, while the Middle Passage was real, and they did some horrible, horrific, and horrendous things during slavery, not all of us came, to wherever we resided at in the world on a slave boat. Especially here in the Americas. They just start calling us black, putting us on plantations, and then I'm gonna go on a quick side tangent. This is the biggest reason why, it's so hard for us to get reparations. Because reparations, when you break it down, it means to repair a nation. And we don't sit up there and let them call us black. We don't sit up there and let them call us African American. We've allowed them to separate us from our nationality. So they can't give us any reparations because we haven't proven our nationality. We don't know our nationality. Because like I said, many of us was already here. This land is ours. So when many of the Native American tribe who are actually your Asians, they're not the original natives, we're the original natives. Allow them to call themselves Native Americans. We're the Native Americans. That's why we don't got nothing. Like, if you look at it, and we're like, well, all these other people got something because they got a nationality. All them people in Asia, like the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Japanese, the Koreans, they all got something from our government because they got a nationality. The Italians, they all got something because they have a nationality. Tiny Hat community, they all got something because they got a nationality. I mean, they could essentially just refer to themselves as white, but they wouldn't have got no money. But, I think we're really turning the soil. People got their feet in the soil. I think when they coined the term, foundational Black American, I think that's, got us cooking with gas. So, I do believe we're going to get it, but we're just fighting a really uphill battle. Got to keep their foot on the gas with that. And I believe we'll get it. But, reparations aside, that's just my logic why I refer to our people as original as opposed to the word black on my podcast. The only, time I would not is if I'm reading an article and, on this podcast is dedicated to sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And many times how I do that is reading articles. So if it says black in the article describing something like a black man, first black man to do this, first black woman to do that, I just say black. I won't, swap out black for original. But if I'm trying to make my point, talking like I'm talking now, I'll say original man, original woman. That's just my, preferred pronoun for us as a people as opposed to the word black. And I'm not advising anybody that listens to my podcast not to call themselves black. If you're comfortable calling yourself black, if you're like super woke, super like insomniac woke, and know the true origin of the word, where it derived from, and you're comfortable with that, then by any and all means, continue to keep calling yourself black if you want to. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you I prefer to refer out to our people as original people as opposed to the word black. And I've already told you why. So now that I got that out the way, by the order of the business, my podcast is broken down into sections. Each section has a speaking point. I describe each section as I come to them. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to ramble. I don't want to rant. I don't want to get distracted. Because like as you see, like how, long the intro was, it's really easy to do on the audio platform. Because when I first started podcasting, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to speak about, what type of content I wanted to have. I would just hit the button and just go. I would just talk, just like diarrhea of the mouth. And for that, like pretty much nobody listened to me. But then when I took a step back and, examined my content and decided what I wanted to talk about, I decided to, break it down, like use the KISS method, keep it simple, silly. And so that's what I do on my podcast. I broke it down into sections. I gave each section a speaking point. And, and I try to time each section. So that's another goal of my podcast. I don't want my broadcast to exceed 1 hour. I want to keep it short, simple, to the point. I want to get the knowledge and information out there. I want it to resonate with the listeners. I don't want to shoot over people's heads. I don't want to just use a big word because I know a big word. I'm not saying dumb yourself down for people. I am saying, use vocabulary skills, like, don't dumb yourself down for anybody. But at the same time, I'm trying to reach the people. And a lot of my people do not read. A lot of people, a lot of my people, just like speak plainly and practically. So that's, this is, consciousness for the practical original man and the original woman. So not saying, just because you don't use, high range vernacular, that you're not unintelligent. It just means, you're trying to like shoot straight to the meat because time is money. And like, we shoot straight to the meat here on the Narrator podcast. Another thing about my platform, it's designed to uplift and edify us, not tear down and destroy us. So I stay away from gossip. I don't engage in it. I don't entertain it. If I don't know something for a fact, I'm not going to go around quoting it, and I don't think any of us should. No shade to those of us on digital media that are in the gossip business, because it is a business. So if you're going to be gossiping about somebody, I'm pretty sure entertainers appreciate you guys for what y'all do, because if somebody's going to be gossiping about it, we might as well keep it in the family, let people outside of our culture, gossip about us, our lifestyles, and speculate, and don't, at least like keep the money in the family, like, you know what I'm saying? But in that same breath, we got to put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So to all my brothers and sisters that's, getting their dividends through like, gossip, celebrity gossip, more power to you. But, keep the playing field level on your platforms, put something positive out in the universe too. Don't just like let it all be gossip and all be negativity about us, because how them folks view us. So we got to always put it in perspective and put out something positive too. Um, so yeah, that's it in a nutshell about the Narrator podcast. Try to keep everything short, simple, to the point, because I want all my content to be cohesive. I want to have a nice flow to it. Starting point, start, middle, end. I'm that hip hop. Like I remember when you listen to a song at the beginning, middle, and the end. Now today they just go just like, you know, it's different. It ain't like ours back in the day, but I'm used to beginning, middle, and the end. Beginning, middle, end. In between, got a bridge. Now, I do try to add a little levity to my content too. I don't want to be super stuffy, so every once in a blue moon, you might hear me crack a joke. You might, hear me crack a joke, do an impersonation or something like that. But when I do it, it's not coming from no place of meanness. It's not coming from like, malice. It's just like to add a little levity to the content, to break it up, to keep it nice and flowing. I don't want my content to be super serious, but I do want it to be engaging. I want to engage you, let you be aware and, evoke critical thinking. Last little bit of business before I jump into the content. I call on my listeners my narrators. And the reason why I do that is because I already told you about, the digital media, the mainstream liberal media, whatever you want to call it, how they portray us. We have the unique ability to change the narrative based on the content that we post online. So it's a double-edged sword. They're putting out the negative content, but we can flip the narrative by putting out positive content on our own spaces that we occupy. And how do we flip the narrative like that? We narrate or tell our own stories. Because if history has taught us anything, if you don't tell your own story, your story will be told for you. So that's why I call my target audience my narrators. We all have the ability to narrate or tell our own stories on these little handheld devices that we carry around with us all day long. We can change the atmosphere that way. And I highly encourage people to do that. All right, I think I've cleared up everything about my podcast to all new listeners. And now, without any further ado, I'm diving right on into the content. I think I shot a little bit over my 1 hour mark. This intro is a little longer than most. Because last week I hit the mark. I hit it dead center. I hit the bullseye. I try not to exceed 1 hour. I was like 2 minutes over 1 hour on my last full broadcast. But anyway, jumping into the content. First up on the Narrator podcast, my first section is the promo section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm giving original people, original men and women, the opportunity to promote their business, product, or service. I'm giving them the opportunity to promote their business, product, or service for 110% for free on my platform, the Narrator Podcast. And if you'd like to know how, just hit me up, Halsey Allen at Poetic Passion, Passion Webmail at poeticpassion.host. And in the subject bar, type promo. Body of the email, tell me a little bit about yourself, business, product, service, whatever you would like promoted. And I'll do that for you on my platform. for 110% for free. And the reason why I'm doing that is to help circulate the original people dollar within the original people community. Because while we are due reparations, repairing the nation, um, it's up to all of us to support and patronize each other. So just because you feel you can't financially support a brother or sister, you can use your platform, like I'm doing, to support original people-owned businesses. But rich and poor, it's all a state of mind. If you say you ain't got it, you ain't never gonna have it. But I digress. So once again, if you are in need of or know somebody would like some free promotion for their business, product, or service, or whatever they're selling, please hit me up. Provided it is legal now. Like, you can't be hitting me up, having no dating services. Can't have no back page activity. I can't promote no back page activity. I can't promote no sliding door, slide the money through the door activity. But legitimate businesses, products, and services, hit me up at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host, subject bar, type promo, body of the email, tell me a little bit about yourself, business, product, and service, and I'll gladly promote it for you 110% for free. The more specific you are about whatever you're selling, the better the promotional drop will be for you, because I'll know what to tell the listeners. So just, include all the details you want me to know about your business, product, or service, so I can give you a correct representation on my platform about whatever it is you're trying to sell. All right, next order of business. My next section is the contest section. Contest section, what I'm doing here on the contest section is self-explanatory. It is just how it sounds. It's a contest. And the current contest I'm running is called the Chew on This contest. And what it is, it's listener appreciation / listener participation / incentive. So, like, for all the people that's been listening, been supporting, I'm giving them the opportunity to, participate more with my content. So I'm getting FaceTime with you until I'm able to get, a hotline situated and, transition into the video. The opportunity to interact with me by giving you a prize. So it's a contest. I'm giving you a prize for supporting me. I'm offering a prize for you, for future listeners, trying to attract. Lure is like, I don't know. Yeah, that's a deviant word. I don't like lure. Attract new listeners to my platform and, reward people that's been listening and engage, I'm having a contest. I got a little long-winded. So it's 110% for free. I don't want nothing from you. I'm giving you something. And if you would like to enter the contest, hit me up. The name of the contest is called the Chew on This contest. And the prize I'm giving away is a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. And the topic that I want you to participate in is just share your most recent shopping while black experience. And for that, I will give you a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. whether it's chips, candy bar, whatever you're into. No judgment. You can be a healthy snacker. You can like fresh fruit. I'll get you some fresh fruit. But anyway, so to enter the contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at the exact same address that I gave for the promotional drop. The only difference is I'm separating them through the subject bars. So for the Chew on This contest, hit me up, Halsey Allen at passionwebmail at poeticpassion.host. And in the subject bar, type Chew on This / or dash shopping while black. And if you do not want to type the entire word shopping while black, type SWB in all caps and it'll be all good. Body of the email, and make sure you include your mailing address so I know where to send your prize, your shopping while black experience. You can include your name if you want to, but for sure, most definitely tell me your mailing address so I know where to send it. Your most recent shopping while black experience, of course. That's the whole purpose of the contest. And then tell me, for your prize, what type of snack food would you like so I can get it for you. And it's 110% free. There is no entry fee. There is no deadline in which to enter. I'll let you know when I switch up the topic. But for right now, it's an ongoing contest. I think I came up with it last year. I might change it pretty soon, might not. Might keep it, might just make it a mainstay. I don't know. But to enter, hit me up for the Chew on This contest. Halsey Allen at passionwebmail, poeticpassion.host. Subject bar, type Chew on This / or dash shopping while black or SWB in all caps. If you do not want to type the entire word, body of the email, make sure you include your most recent shopping while black experience, your mailing address, and then what type of snack do you want. All right, sound good. All right, now on to the main section of the Narrator podcast, because it's the main section because what I'm here to do is to deliver positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Oh shoot, I forgot to belt out my my tagline. I got so excited I forgot to tell you guys my tagline. Got so long-winded in the intro. So my tagline for this podcast is the Narrator Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? I provide positive frames of reference about original people and original culture. So that's what this section is about. Me providing positive frames of reference about entrepreneurialism. I'm highlighting entrepreneurs, people, original men and original women who have started their own business. And the reason I'm doing that, because we don't have many frames of references about entrepreneurs. The very few visual frames of reference that we have about entrepreneurs on television is tainted with dysfunction and toxicity. So those reality television shows about entrepreneurs, representing us, it gets drowned out by the violence and the toxicity, by them fighting each other online, on camera, calling each other's names, trying to sabotage each other any way they can, instead of coming together, unifying. So there is a backstory to it, but the backstory gets drowned out because they push all the dysfunction towards the front for the ratings. That's what they want you to focus in on. The backstory is like usually all those people on them reality shows, they're making 5 and 6 figures. They got you know, 2 or 3 different offices. They got like anywhere from 100 to 1,000 people under their umbrella that they employ off of their brand. But we don't see all that on television. We see what the producers want us to see. And what they want us to see is the dysfunction, the toxicity, and the violence. That's how we get portrayed, shows about entrepreneurialism. So in this section, what I'm doing is it's all positivity. The original people that I highlight in the highlight section, what I'm playing up is the positive. The people that I highlight, they came from the bottom. They was working regular 9-to-5 jobs. They decided they didn't want to do that no more. They decided they wanted to take control of their lives, be their own boss. They didn't necessarily have, most of them. Some of them did have an extensive background, but most of them that I highlight in the highlight section didn't have an extensive educational background, didn't have extensive vocational training skills or vocational skill set in the field that they're currently in. They didn't have a lot of money to start off with. They had to do a Kickstarter. They had to take a little bit of their own money and just, start on a wing and a prayer. Also, many of the people that I highlight in this highlight section are running family-owned and operated businesses. But the majority of them, the main thing they got in common, what I try to strive for is, that they either, they do some type of community outreach. They either, have their very own nonprofit organization, or they pay into one, or they do something for the community in which they're rooted in. And the final thing, my final qualifying criteria here in this section, the highlight section on the Narrator podcast, what I'm looking for is for, the business to align up with my theme. And my theme is the season of summer. And so like the businesses that I'll be highlighting in the highlight section, they line up with, the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of the season of summer, like what you mentally equate summer with. What business, like, what do you have to have in the summer? Or you notice people have a lot of in the summer, or use in the summer, or do in the summer. And then, if you've been paying attention to my podcast, I do the seasons. So like I change, I do the businesses based on the season. I go, summer, winter, spring, fall. So being in that we are in the season of summer, I mean, you can really technically do this all year round, but people do it a lot in the summer. It just makes sense, especially if you live in a 4-season state. Just something people do every single summer. It's so tranquil, it's so relaxing. Like even if you, well, I'll spoil it if I say that, but I guess I'll just say it. Every summer people go on fishing trips. So like even if you don't eat fish, like me, I don't eat meat, I don't eat poultry, I don't eat, fish. But fishing is relaxing, it's therapeutic. It is an actual sport. I mean, like the fish probably don't think it's a sport. But if it's done the right way, if you catch them and throw it back, then it's a sport. If you mount it on the wall, then you're a butcher. Sorry. I know a lot of people got big fish on their wall that they done caught and took it to the taxidermist, but yeah, that's not sportsmanlike if you do that. you're a butcher. But you know, if you eat the fish that you catch, then that's different. You know, it's kind of like the food chain. Like animals eat fish, the bear, you know, feral cats, they eat fish. So fish kind of are meant to be eaten in nature. We're nature. We're natural. We're mammals. So like, if you eat fish, you eat fish. So that's okay. But anyway, everybody, for whatever reason, where you do it for sports, whether you do it because you like the taste of fish, or whether you do it like I would do it for just the relaxation aspect of it. Everybody fishes in the summertime. It's tranquil, it's relaxing. It's just you out there on the water with the fish. Nobody talking to you, yapping your ear out, you know, and it takes a little bit of skill. You gotta flick the line out. You gotta know just how much slack to give it. And then, like I said, tranquil and relaxing. And if you catch something, cool. If you don't, oh well, at least you got out the house and did something. But anyway, everybody fishes in the summertime. So these next few businesses, I will be highlighting. The highlight section of the Narrator podcast is Black-owned, original people-owned and operated bait and tackle shops. So first business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section of the Narrator podcast is Jackson's Bait Shop. The proprietors' names are Marcus Jackson and his wife Taji Jackson. And they got established in 2021. They're located on 729 North 9th Street in Bessemer, excuse me. Yeah, I watched the video and I still can't pronounce it. Bessemer, Alabama. So his story. Oh, and another thing I forgot to tell you about the highlight section. So in addition to, you know, sharing, you know, these businesses, the purpose of me doing that is to basically, you know, walk you through the journey. I want to tell you about, you know, their entire journey. That's what I attempt to try to do in the highlight section. I want to walk you through how they got their name, you know, the concept of their overall business, their business module, you know, their tagline, their, you know, core value system, you know, their business philosophy, ideology, you know, their marketing gimmick, whatever, you know, everything that has to do with starting a business. I'm walking you through the proprietor's journey as an entrepreneur. I'm giving you the whole entire story. And then also, what I'm sharing in the highlight section, of course, I'm getting you to get into the healthy habit of promoting original people owned and operated business. Because like, if you feel you don't have enough money to patronize, you can promote for free. It doesn't cost any money to promote. So that's what I'm doing, attempting to do in the highlight section. But anyway, back to it. Jackson's Bait Shop, 729 North 9th Street in Bessemer, Alabama. How it came to be, it's a very short and sweet story. And a lot of times, you guys, when I'm attempting to try to, you know, walk you through the entire process, sometimes the journey's not that long. And this is one of those cases. The interview was very short and sweet to the point. So the town of Bessemer is very small. It's a tight-knit community. There's not a whole lot of businesses there. Like this is one of them towns where everybody knows each other by their first name. Um, it's the South, so yeah, it is a lot of racial uh, inequality. But I think it's safe to say in that town it's pretty neutral. Um, so basically, he got the concept because he just had a call and he knew he had to do something. I want to do something different with my life. This is his words. I watched the interview. I'm paraphrasing his own words. Marcus's words. He said he had to do something different. He didn't know what. He consulted with the officials of that town, the mayor and I think somebody else of that town, mayor and assistant mayor, I believe. And they didn't really give him guidance. He just kind of had his own, came into his own circumference about what he needed to do with his life. Um, and just the light bulb went off. People like to fish, and he started to, start his own bait and tackle shop. And it gave people in the town something to do. Um, and basically, all he did is resurrect a pre-existing brand. Um, Larry's bait and tackle shop was around in their business for 30 years, and then the owner, of course, died, and it was just sitting there empty for years. So he decided to resurrect it. It's bait and tackle shop. Of course, they sell live bait. Um, Now, what's unique about this special one is Marcus, to give back to the community, he employed some high school students and their local area high school students. And high school students are Caucasian, but the business proprietor, he is an original man. Um, so I'm sure if people have the expertise, like or interest, like our kids, like they ain't like lining up to want to go fish, but in a town like that, that's a way of life for young Caucasian kids. But anyway, so what sets their business apart from everybody else, they actually custom make and craft their lures, like the young teams that he has employed under his employ. They custom make, test, bait and lure. They find out what works. They beta test like all their lures for their fishing line and all that. They make it in house. So usually. Bait and tackle shops, they go through a purveyor. All their stuff is done in house. So it really is a lost art. The bait and tackle shop is a lost art. Um, I'm just a little side tangent about bait and tackle shops. It's like living history. They got a vibration about them. It's like when you walk into a bait and tackle shop, usually in a town like that. Y'all remember that show on Disney, Raven Simone, That's So Raven? Like, if you go into a bait and tackle shop that been around for like 30, 40, 50 years, like how she did on her TV show, you would just get that little vision. She used to be able to see into the future, but you'll be able to like get that window into the past. If you go into a bait and tackle shop, you get a sense of how the town used to be. You can probably even hear, like, you can just like feel that energy. But yeah, his story was just simple, sweet, short to the point. He wanted to do something different with his life. He opened a bait and tackle shop. And it's been thriving ever since its grand opening in 21 amid the pandemic. So he did that during the pandemic. Like, wasn't nothing to do but fish. So that's what he gave the town. Um, so join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause for, oh wait, one more little bit of information. So they don't have a website. They advertise on Facebook. So type in Jackson's Bake Shop. When you go on Facebook, it'll pop right up. But to contact Marcus directly for any inquiries, you hit him up at marcusj5430 at yahoo.com. So now, join me in the warm narrative podcast round of applause for Marcus Jackson and his wife Taji and the Jackson's Bake Shop in Alabama. All right, moving right along. Next order of business. The next business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section on the Narrator podcast is Ghost, Park, and Tackle. And this is super duper short to the point. Sometimes there's just not a lot of information. It's like, when I come across the article, sometimes the article is like less than a paragraph. And this is one example of it. It didn't say too much, like where he got the resources to do it. It's just kind of like that. This is on the West Coast. This is Ghost, Park, and Tackle. And the proprietor's name is Cedric Ghostin. See how it's a play on words? His last name is Ghostin, and he named it Ghost, Park, and Tackle. Established in March 21 amid the pandemic. Address is, oh shoot, I got the worst chicken scratch ever. Let me punch it up right quick so I can give you the accurate address. It's Ghost Bait and Tackle. It's in Sacramento, California, though. It's Ghost Bait and Tackle. I don't know why I said Ghost Tackle. It's Ghost Park. It's Ghost Bait and Tackle. I don't know why I don't know where I got the park from. It's Ghost Bait and Tackle. And the address is 2550 West El Camino Avenue, number 4, Sacramento, California, 95833. And once again, it's Ghost Bait and Tackle. And the proprietor is Cedric Ghostin and his wife Tara Ghostin. They advertise on Facebook, so facebook.com/Ghost Bait and Tackle. Telephone number is 916-692-8520. Let me see, it says the name. I think it just takes me to Facebook. I'm punching on the little globe. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, they advertise this exclusively on Facebook. They don't have an actual website. It's really short, to the point. He has pictures of everybody. He got his lovely wife on it. Um, you know, people, some of his customers on here. Got a picture of himself. So the article was like I said, short, sweet, to the point. Basically, he grew up in that area of California. I guess it's kind of chill, while the lure of street life was imminent. Um, that just really sparked nostalgia. Fishing, and it's something he always wanted to pursue and do with his life, is to one day have his own bait and tackle shop. As he enjoys fishing, and that's exactly what he did. He pursued his dream, followed his dream. He's community oriented. It's a family-owned business. He's in business with his wife. He patronizes everybody, but of course he caters to us, original people specifically. Now, when you go on Facebook, you will see that it caters to everybody. You'll see an Asian man, a Caucasian man, uh, people of Spanish descent. Just he's unifying the world through his product. But he caters to us first. But he's down with everybody, but he caters to us first, and that's how he gives back to the community. Um, so join me in the Warm Narrative podcast. Round of applause to Mr. Cedric Ghostin and his wife Tara at the Ghosts. Keep on messing the name up. At the Ghost Bait and Tackle in Sacramento, California. All right, guys. Yeah. Next chapter. Last article. All right, man. Last article. All right. Last article. Our last business, in the highlight section that I'll be highlighting this evening on the Narrator podcast. Jeez whiz, I really got to work on my handwriting. I cannot read my own handwriting sometimes. Let me see. Punch it up. I think it's just. Okay. So last business I'll be highlighting in the highlight section on the Narrative podcast is AC's bake, ANC bake shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the address is 314 East Center. Make sure I got this right. Yeah. I'm sure I do. Hold on, y'all. Okay. So it's 314. Trying to get the address again. Okay, 314 East Center, 2915 Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53212. So now this is a bit complicated because this is a really, really old bait and tackle shop. It's nearly 50 years old. And in this segment, I'm giving you history. I'm giving you an example of generational wealth. This business passed down to three generation of whites. Their family's last name is White. So the original owner of A&C's bait shop was Tommy White, and it was established in the 60s. They moved to Wisconsin from Mississippi in search of a better life, but gotcha, because it was at the height of the civil rights era. And so, like, when they got to Wisconsin, there was a lot of riots and stuff going on. But eventually, the racial climate settled good enough for him to open up his own business. I didn't punch up anything in the articles to say why he decided on a bake shop. But Tommy opened up a bake shop. He's now like close to 100 years old. I think he retired at around 60 and passed it on to his son, George. And so George he's in his late 60s, and he passed it down to his son. So the new proprietor of the A&C's bake shop is Ace. So it's family owned and operated, three generations of whites that run the shop. They've hosted, as they bought for the community, they've hosted like fishing derbies for the children. They've had instructional workshops where they taught people how to fish. So they give back to the community. They definitely hire their own, and it's family owned and operated. So the current owner, he's going to leave the shop to his, oldest son. And so the shop's going to continue to be there and thrive within the community, giving some people a place to go, to get for their fishing needs, a sense of community, a good place to commune. And again, like fishing, bait shops, that's kind of a melting pot. I never really heard nobody getting in a beef at a bait shop. I mean, we see them in like the action movies, especially in them like martial arts movies. They get in a fight in the bait shop. But like in real life, bait shops are super chill. I ain't never seen nobody have a bad attitude or get out of sorts in a bait and tackle shop. But that one is a piece of Milwaukee history. They've been around for over 50 years, and they're going to continue because, like I said, it's family owned and operated. So, there's already a third generation white currently running, the bait shop, AC's bait shop, and he's going to leave it to his eldest, and his eldest is going to leave it to his eldest, and it's just going to keep going. So that's more than impressive. So you see, and another thing I try to do on here on the highlight section is I really try to sell, starting your own business. A lot of us want to be financially independent or financially, I'm doing air quotes, free. But sometimes freedom isn't as complicated as that. Some people don't need a big giant mansion a 5 car, a big mansion with a 5 car garage, um, a house big enough you can land a helicopter on top of it, estate. Sometimes, freedom is just simply that, being free. And so sometimes being an entrepreneur is about just the freedom of, living life the way you want to live it, not having to check in with a supervisor or a boss or worry about corporate policy. Um, just simply, providing goods and services and enjoying yourself while you're doing it because it's something you love to do. And everybody, all the businesses today that I've highlighted on the highlight section here on the Narrator podcast, they're in business because they enjoyed it. They enjoy themselves. They enjoy servicing the community with their product. They like bringing together families. They like, having a nice product. They enjoy the little small talk, the interactions that they get from their customers, their stories, and, their children's stories. So, it ain't always about the money all the time. Just bear that in mind when you begin your journey into being an entrepreneur. It's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about self-gratification. self Self-fulfillment, self-purpose, self-worth. But join me in giving a warm narrative podcast round of applause to the entire, white family, all the white males. I mean, they're brothers, but their last name is white. I know I said that all the white males, but it's 3 of them: Tommy, George, and Ace, at A&C's Bake Shop in Milwaukee. All right. On to my next section in the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the Spotlight section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm spotlighting prominent figures within our community. The types of figures that I spotlight in the Spotlight section in the Narrative Podcast are, usually in the entertainment industry. So I usually spotlight actors, actresses, what have you, athletes, entertainers, recording artists, comedians, public figures, influencers, YouTubers, TikTokers, basically anybody with a public polarizing platform, that is reflective of our people. That's who I spotlight on the Spotlight section. I even on occasion have spotlighted prominent religious figures here on the Narrative Podcast. And the whole purpose of the Spotlight section is basically I want to put out positivity in the atmosphere. I'm creating the healthy habit of positivity. So what the Spotlight section is basically like, giving a brother or a sister their roses while they're here. And what I'm doing is, I'm putting out that positive energy. I'm trying to, put in the atmosphere something positive. Say that's what, the driving force behind the Spotlight section is all about. The importance of saying something nice about your brother or sister online instead of something critical, instead of something mean-spirited. Because we've been programmed and conditioned by the machine to believe in order to, make money online, we got to throw each other under the bus. We have to gossip about each other. We got to lie about one another. We got to sit up there and be mean towards one another. We got to go back and forth on Twitter, on Facebook, on all these digital platforms, back and forth in the comment section. And we are the only people that do that. You don't hear Caucasian people doing that. You don't hear Asian people doing that. Only we do that. And when and to that, we make like only a fraction of what the machine makes. Like, do you know it's like $1 billion a year industry for us to sit up there and slander each other online? They make it. They make the money. We might get a few little clicks here and there, but they're the ones making the money. They're the ones allocating all the profit from clicks and views and all that. You might get a little trickle, but at the end of the day, now you're at odds with your brother and sister. And now you don't went too far to say, I'm sorry. Now you can't, when you never should have been doing it in the first place. And so what they've done is they've incentivized us, being, acting out of character with each other online. But that's not what the spotlight section is. The spotlight section is, just a congratulatory nod to a brother or sister doing their thing for the cause, whether it's in the form of social activism, speaking our social woes unapologetically on platforms, doing philanthropy within the community, giving back, or just their presence being positive, having that, that aesthetic appeal, being a good visual representation of an original man, that good visual representation of a woman, that good visual representation of inclusion. So that's what I'm doing here in the spotlight section here on the Narrator podcast. Speaking of inclusion, well, that would have been a segue, but before I go into that, I also had to do it like I do every single segment. I'm the one that created the way for spotlighting, because before I, Halsey Allen, added the spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrator podcast, nobody online anywhere was spotlighting anyone. Nobody. Now all of a sudden, I had a spotlight section to my podcast, whether it's like a TV show, a talk show, a podcast series. Every time they have a special guest or, they're about to interview somebody, they'll start off saying, today on such and such show, we'll be spotlighting this person, that person, etc., etc., etc. Nobody was doing that before I had the spotlight section of my podcast. You can, go through my episode log, fact check, cross-reference. Wasn't nobody doing that. But I didn't do it for recognition. I didn't do it for clout-chasing purposes. I did it, like I said, to create the healthy habit of us saying something positive about one another. And, it's caught on like wildfire because so many people are doing it. So as they say, as the old saying goes, imitation is the best form of flattery. Since so many people are doing it, it makes me feel good as they're using their platforms to make us feel good, instead, as opposed to making us feel bad, trying to play up rumors and fan gossip and lies on their platform. They're now, using their platform to build up and edify by spotlighting a brother or a sister's accomplishments. So I'm flattered for everybody that's spotlighting. All the spotlighters out there, I'm flattered. I'm glad I caught on. I mean, even if you don't want to give me my credit, that's cool. I know for a fact you listen to the Narrator podcast, you ain't got to say it. It's proof in the pudding, with the spotlight, and just other little stuff, all my little nuances, stuff I say, the way I say stuff, doing it on YouTube channels, doing it in interviews, my little, what do they call it, nuances, my speaking nuances, and just stuff I say and delivery, how I say stuff is catching on. So, that's proof that people are listening to my podcast, even if they don't just verbally come out and say, they listen, they support, and they effing with me. But I digress. I got to give a warm Narrative podcast round of applause for myself.
To the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. All right, moving right on along. With no further ado, today occupying the spotlights on the Narrative Podcast, this young lady is a big time mover and shaker on social media. She has done tremendous effort. She got the spirit of, to bring about change at an early age. She is now 20 years old. She got that revolutionary spark at age 11, wanting to make a change, wanting to make a difference. And the young lady's name is Marley Diaz. Marley attended, she was born January 4th, 2005. So she's a premillennial, a post-millennial. Is it pre or post? She's a millennial. She attended Orange High School in West Orange, New Jersey. So basically, she got the spark at an early age at 11. She noticed wasn't any inclusion in literature, no books about her, people that look like her. So what she wanted to do is make people aware, that we exist. She wanted to start a book drive called 100 Black Girls. And the movement was, getting 100 black girls to read, 100 books where we was, are depicted as the mainstay, the main character in a positive way, because we want that, diversity and inclusion. She wanted that diversity and inclusion to, that visual symbol that we matter, because them folks will do everything they can to X us out of existence. They'll just gloss over us, like we never existed if we let them. But this young lady had the fortitude to do something, at a very young age, educated herself to properly learn how to educate everybody else. Got everybody, sparked that movement up, the 100 black girl movement up. She went global with that. She even got people in Africa, involved in that movement. She went on to write her own book called Marley Gets It Done, and So Can You. So that's a motivational book. So she motivating. I think she wrote that book when she was 16. So, she is an activist. She does TED Talks, motivational speeches. So uses her social media platforms responsibly and intelligently. And, she's driven with the intent to add diversity and inclusion in literary works. So books, about our people, especially our women, where they are the main characters, they're not side characters or just in one chapter, and then the next chapter you never hear or see from them again. And so with a good, strong literary basis, a lot of movies and televisions are based off books. So that's her, that's her ideology behind that. Because a whole lot of movies and books, or a whole lot of movies and television shows, borrow from literature. So if there's inclusion in literature, there'll be, proper representation to us in other forms of media, such as television and movies and screenplays. So, yeah, she had the foresight to think that far ahead at age 11. Um, Janice is currently attending Harvard University. It doesn't say what she's studying, but she comes from a diverse family of, social activists. Her mother is a grassroots community foundation leader. So, she had that revolutionary spark embedded and imbued in her through her mother, like osmosis type thing. But, what can I say? It's so refreshing to see one of our young ladies, using supreme intelligence and not being a online thought, bending over, busting it open for the gram. And again, I don't drag people on my platform. I uplift and edify. I believe in proper context. So if you are an Instagram model, if you are a stripper, if you are, a back page worker, I'm not trying to disrespect you. No judgment. Who's anybody to be judging anybody? But I'm saying for the visual representation of our women, we need positive frames of reference. We need that intelligence, visually played up. And so we need more ladies like Marley, in the forefront, in the eye of the camera. We don't need to see you unless you're advertising something. If you're advertising your business, if you're an Instagram model, you dropping that low for the dollars, that's, that your bit, like, your business is your business. You ain't bothering nobody. You're in your own realm. You're in your own dimension. You got your own website. So, you got to click on the permissions. So you know what you're getting into. I'm talking about the ones just gallivanting online, just where you don't even got a choice but to see it. Those are, what they want to portray for our sisters. That's what they want to visually represent our sisters. And we need more visual representations like this young sister, Marley Diaz. We don't need, the visual representation of sisters sticking their tongue out and walking around, showing, exposing their body parts just because they can, because they feel like it. We don't need that. All right, but that's pretty much it. I mean, she's only in her early 20s, so there wasn't much about her story. Her story's still developing. She's still in, developing stages, but I know a whole lot of good things is coming in the future from her when she finishes her journey in college. I can see her creating some really dope content. I can see her, designing platforms that will showcase and highlight us being intellectual. And we're having intellectual dialogue and showing us, showing our sisters classy and sophisticated and not catty fighting on camera. But yeah, join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause for this young lady, Marley Diaz. All right, getting to the nitty gritty now, y'all. Only got a couple more sections left, and then, we up out of here. Next section, the health and wellness section. And it is just how it sounds. It's exactly how it sounds. It's about health and wellness. So, what I'm doing here in this section is giving health and wellness tips for our people. Now, my content, anybody can participate in it. Anybody's free to listen, no matter what your, race, creed, religion, ethnical background, nationality, whatever. But just know that all the content on this platform is aimed towards my people. And why is it aimed towards my people? Because my people are suffering the hardest. My people are suffering from, these negative stereotypes, these negative stigmas and stereotypes, and negative images, negative portrayals, lack of inclusion, lack of opportunity. That's what we're suffering from. But especially in health too, health and wellness, because the evil machine, they're literally sitting up there designing things, putting things in our air, our food, in our water, and basic things we use every single day and every single day daily use that is harmful to our unique genetic makeup. And they're doing that with the intent to wipe us off the planet. So the health and wellness tips here on the Narrator Podcast is for my people, how to, keep a healthy, active, fit lifestyle. Because, in any spiritual practice, any religion, it says, we are all one person, we are all one entity, but health and wellness wise, it's just not so. We all have, different dietetic needs. There are some things culturally you can have every single day within your culture that is not harmful to you. Where it is like in my culture, it is harmful to me, and vice versa. Weather and climate, I thrive in certain, our people thrive in certain elements, and then other people do not thrive in the same elements that we do. We also, are different mentally and spiritually. We all connect to the source differently. Whether you call the source or God or Allah or whatever you call it, we all connect differently on a cultural level. So I'm connected with my people on our level, on our wavelength, because we're being attacked, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And the health and wellness section on the Narrator Podcast is to tell my people how to armor up mentally, physically, and spiritually with health and wellness tips. So, for example, on the physical end of it, a health and wellness tip, you might hear about the health benefits of plants, vegetable, fruits, herb, extract, elixir, roots that will improve your, physical well-being by ingesting it or applying it topically to your body. Or some type of physical exercise you can perform to increase your, vitality. Mentally, things that will sharpen your mind, because there are so many mental distractions for us. We have so many different like emotional mental triggers. You know, how they manipulate and mess with our minds. They manipulate and mess with our minds through this, you know, social media, through television, through movies, through literature. So we got to armor, you know, be in sound mind. So I might give you some tips on, you know, how to keep focused through like meditating, through reading, through controlling what you put in your mind. I might give you a tip like mindful breathing. You know what I mean? Or you know, low key focus. Things that just you know help you focus and harness the powers of the mind. And then spiritual, that we get attacked spiritually. So I might give you some spiritual tips such as fasting, praying, meditating, using different, you know, spiritual techniques, how to properly use different, you know, spiritual techniques within our culture. And then I might, for a curveball, I might talk about, you know, divine law, quantum law, metaphysics. But you get the gist of it. It's health and wellness tips. So today, the health and wellness tip is the health benefits. We're on the health benefit tip for today. And today's health benefit here on the Narrator podcast is the health benefits of the plant called sarsaparilla. So sarsaparilla is basically like it's a woody plant. It's often used. It was like, you know, back in the frontier days, its primary form that it was used in was like they originated, you know, carbonated drinks. So it's like the precursor to root beer. So they use sarsaparilla for carbonated drinks in the frontier days, as well as some stuff called sarsaparilla. They're all in the same family. They got that like sweet kind of licoricey taste. Well, licorice ain't sweet, but you know, if you tasted root beer, it's similar to that. The taste of sarsaparilla is similar to root beer. In some root beer, sarsaparilla is the key component. For the old-fashioned, old-timey stuff, sarsaparilla has a lot of medicinal purposes in its natural form. So you're taking a gamble if you're getting it in capsule form or pill form. So if you use sarsaparilla or any herb, use the herb in its natural form, grow out of the ground, or like grow it yourself if you can do it. So it's great for the skin. Like any type of skin condition you have, sarsaparilla is good for that. It's good for psoriasis, acne, rosacea. It's good to quiet the symptoms of arthritis. You know, there's nothing under the sun, but like in the early, you know, frontier days, like in, you know, if you watch Little House in the Prairie or Dr. Quinn Medicine Women, they was prescribing sarsaparilla for, you know, social diseases. Like they used to use sarsaparilla for syphilis. But if there's no medical literature to prove it was, but there's none to disprove it either. So I believe it worked, because ain't nothing new under the sun. So back in the day, you know, we didn't have all these, polluted air and all this pasteurization and all that. So plants, if you know the right herb, can heal everything. It's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antimicrobial. It was also good for to treat certain stages of cancer, to relieve symptoms of gout, and sarsaparilla is just the all-around good herb in its natural form. And like I said, they also used it for carbonated drinks. They make sarsaparilla as a carbonated drink. They also would make it into syrup, so it was good for the medicinal purposes. That for your upper respiratory, to clean out all that mucus, to break down all that mucus in you. So good for inflamed parts of the body in syrup form for a sore throat, or if you're suffering from bronchitis, help excrete all that mucus buildup in your nasal cavity in your throat. But that's it. Health and wellness tip of the day: sarsaparilla. Research it. Try to incorporate it into your diet, into your daily routine. Get a little bit of sarsaparilla in your life. All right, getting down to the nitty gritty. After this next section, I only got one more section left, and then I'm out of here. So this next section here on the Narrator podcast is called My Speaking Point of the Day, and basically, in this section, I'm just really delivering commentary, on current events. So whatever is trending, whatever is online, whatever is in the news, that's what I'll be talking about. So breaking news, world news, things within our community. And the purpose of me doing that, when I do that, I'm controlling the narrative, because the media have us looking and sounding crazy. And so if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story, your story will be told for you. And so that's exactly what I'm doing in this section, is I'm telling our story from our perspective, breaking it down through our eyes. All right, so without any further ado, on to the speaking point of the day here on the Narrator podcast. So like I said, I already gave you the spoiler alert. Let's talk about it. Juneteenth. What is it? Juneteenth is supposedly the day the slaves were freed in down south, specifically Texas. The reason why they call it Juneteenth, because like many words, if you're familiar with Southerners, people that live in the South, they kind of they jumble and mash the words up. Because you know how nowadays everybody online be like LOL, and it's short for laugh out loud, or BTW, by the way. They was doing that down south way before that was a thing here now. In the modern era we live in. So Juneteenth, what it actually is short for is just saying the day, Emancipation Day. It's June 19th, so they just say Juneteenth, not Emancipation Day. And another reason why it's not Emancipation Day is because slavery never officially ended. Slavery ain't ended, it just changed forms. For our people, slavery is not over, it just changed forms. While we have certain liberties, where we can do certain things, we're not free. And law enforcement shows us all the time we are not free. Legislation shows us all the time we are not free. We can think freely. We can move and navigate through life as a free original man or original woman, but here in this country, in this North American wilderness, we are not free. So when we celebrate it, we're not celebrating emancipation. We're celebrating the fact we made it. That's why we're celebrating Juneteenth. We're celebrating like everything you try to do to us, everything you throw at us, we're still here. So that's the reason why we're celebrating Juneteenth. We're celebrating Juneteenth just, for us, just being us, triumphing in the face of adversity. For every low down thing y'all try to do to us, we're still here. They did Jim Crow. They did, mass incarceration. We still here. They done did experimented, use us to as medical test dummies. Still doing it. We still here. They take everything you can take from us. They took our religion. They took our names. They took our identity. They took our children. Everything you can strip from a person, they stripped from us, but we're still here. We're still thriving. We still keep getting better and better and better. And as much as they openly despise us, as much as they call us inferior and hate us, they down deep inside want to be just like us. That's the reason why we celebrate Juneteenth. We're still here. That's the nitty gritty. That's why we celebrate it. We ain't celebrating it because, quote unquote, we're supposed to be free when they freed the slaves. Like, there was parts in Virginia that were still on plantations. They were still whipping people in parts of the South. Like, our government was slowful into making them stop. There wasn't no big rush to have them dudes stop. And there wasn't no internet. There wasn't even telephones back then. They communicated through telegraph. And to use that, you had to know how to read. And a whole bunch of us didn't know how to read. So that's why further down south, they literally didn't get the memo that slavery was over. They were still on plantations getting whipped. 2 years after it quote unquote ended. So, said all that just to give you just a quick why we celebrate Juneteenth, what it symbolizes. So what it symbolizes emancipation, but why we celebrate it, we're celebrating it as a testament, a living testament of us, our people, triumphing in the face of adversity, excelling in all the areas they said we could never excel in, being everything they said we could never be, and just staying 10 toes down. That's why we celebrate it. So, having said that, PSA to all my Caucasian friends. I'm not racist. I have Caucasian friends. PSA to all my Caucasian friends and colleagues, because everybody ain't your friend, but some people are your colleagues and your associates. Do original people, black people, the hugest favor to the 9-to-5ers. When Tuesday comes, since everything's closed on Monday, don't ask a black person, how did you enjoy your Monday, or what you did on Monday, or how you feel about Juneteenth. How did you celebrate Juneteenth? Just don't. Don't ask them that. Don't be so clueless to ask them, what did you do on Monday? Like, I was alive on Monday. That's what it's for. I was alive. I woke up alive. I didn't wake up in handcuffs. I didn't wake up swinging from a tree. That's why we're celebrating it. So don't make it awkward and weird when you go to work tomorrow and ask a black person, an original man or original woman, a king, a queen, a god or a goddess, what they did on Monday. You got the day off. You got the day off too. And it was your ancestor, it was whipping my ancestors. So don't embarrass yourself by asking an original person what they did on Monday. Just don't do it. Just let it happen naturally. If they feel like telling you what they did, how they enjoyed their Monday, let them. Just don't be so curious wondering what they did on Monday. And definitely don't be dumb enough in the workplace to say, I don't know why they have to close everything on Monday because, we live in that space now, that politically correct space. That's kind of the only thing that works in our favor with that PC stuff. So don't be stupid and say you don't know why everything got to be closed on Monday, why the post office and all the, all the federal buildings got to be closed on Monday. Don't be that. Don't be that insensitive a-hole. So if you really are consider yourself open-minded and progressive, act open-minded and progressive, and do not run up to a black person and ask them what they did on Monday. Just don't do it. Don't set yourself up for failure. Like, would you run up to a Spanish person and ask what they did on Cinco de Mayo? Would you run up on an Asian person and ask them what they did on National Asian Heritage Month, or what, you know what I mean? Just don't do it. That's the least they can give us for starting this country. Because that 29 days is some BS, right? So you're welcome, everybody. All right, so that's all I really had. I guess it was just kind of a glorified rant, but there you have it, Juneteenth in a nutshell. Only other thing, what's going on out here in these streets? I feel like that's even remotely worth talking about. It's not a whole bunch of positive. It's sad that it's not a whole bunch of positive stuff to talk about. I really got to comb the internet to find something positive that happened this week. That's a damn shame. What did happen? Anything positive? I guess Pharrell of the Neptunes, Pharrell Williams, he's designing for Louis Vuitton. I guess that's positive that they picked Pharrell to design some clothes for him. Skateboard P, designing for Louis V. Ooh, that's a bar. Skateboard P, designing for Louis V. I think I already gave the spiel on designer. He's sitting up there taking our money, making these European fashion families even more wealthy, and they don't respect us or like us, and they're charging us thousands of dollars to wear their product, which couldn't exist if we didn't wear it. Like, wouldn't nobody want to wear it unless they didn't see us wearing it. Like, nobody would like Gucci like that until we made it pop. Nobody liked Louis Vuitton until we made it pop. Like, you think somebody was looking at another white person and be like, ooh, where'd you get that Louis from? No. They was looking at the brother or the sister in the Louis, in the Gucci, in the Balenciagas, in the all that European fashion stuff. It's not popular until we make it popular. This is why we need to support our own brands, create and support our own brands. And quit making them clowns. They're clowning us money. They clowning us and you making them clowns rich. You clown, like, make it make sense, my people. Stop making them clowns rich. Can't stand this, but they'll sit up there and burn, like get burnt to a crisp in a tanning bed. But they don't like us. Can't stand this, but they'll sit up there and inject chemicals in their lips to get full broad lips. Can't stand this, but now they legit. Have you seen like the way these Caucasian girls, these TikTok videos lately? How they beating their face, like making their hair kinky so they can have locks. Wearing dark foundation so they can appear like more tan than they actually are. Have, like, we the ish, people. We the ish. Let's start acting like it. So that been my speaking point of the day here on the Narrative Podcast. On to my very last section of the Narrative Podcast, and then I'm going to leave you to enjoy you're probably have already enjoyed it by the time I share this back on social media. Your Father's Day weekend / Juneteenth. Because Juneteenth is this Monday. We grilling and chilling this weekend. We was grilling and chilling today for Juneteenth. There was like all kind of festivals and, Juneteenth activities over the weekend. And then I'm pretty sure on, Monday too, but yeah. But here we go. We're at the final section of the Narrative Podcast. This is my final thought and my final word. My final thought and final word of the day. It's either my final thought or final word. I just kind of go back and forth of it. It's really just a reflective thought, something philosophical for you to ponder, a gem, a pearl of wisdom, whatever you want to call it, a nugget, a little nugget of knowledge. Or AKA with the hip hop, they say free game. Like, you know who got some really good ones? Follow Ice-T. He got ice cold facts. But anyway, so for my final section here on the Narrative Podcast of the day, my final thought of the day is admit when you need help. And see how negatively it's been ingrained into us, how we see ourselves. Because when I said that, I get this sense, I just get this overwhelming sense that somebody is saying somebody got a drug problem. It doesn't mean that all the time. What I mean when I'm saying that is admit when you're over your head, when you're out of your depth, when you're out of your bounds. In our pursuit to be, air quotes, on our path, to find our way in the world, to walk in our purpose, we kind of feel like we have to get alone in our own space and figure it all out, all by ourselves, and just rely totally on our inner strength and our drive and our own tenacity. But But, sometimes you get some head scratchers, get really perplexed, and you just can't solve the problem by yourself. You got to admit when you're out of your depth to yourself. You can't lie to yourself. Because your journey is all about finding your truth, being true to yourself. But if you know when you come up against the obstacle that you're not sure how to get around, first thing you got to be doing is just like, whoa, this is a little bit more than I can handle. I don't know. That's what you got to say to yourself. I'm on thumbs on this one. I'm going to have to call it and consult an expert. I don't even know. Because if you knew, you'd already do it. I mean, sure, we're all born with divine knowledge. We can access it and call it, but you got to train yourself to be able to do that. But like life is war, and in war, sometimes you gotta know when to beat a tactical retreat and regroup and get yourself together. Take a minute to reload, or you're gonna get cut down on the battlefield. So you gotta admit to yourself sometimes when you just don't have the answer. You got to consult somebody. You got to consult an expert. This is why we have experts. Like, this is why we have literally, like, why we got plumbers, why we got technicians, why we got mechanics, because they're experts. They know stuff. This is how they make their money, because you got to consult somebody to know something. This is why, like, all the millionaires and the billionaires, they got financial consultants, because they're consulting with somebody about their finances. They're out of their debt. They try to figure it out by themselves, but they couldn't. They had to talk to somebody. You understand me? You got to talk to somebody. You got to admit to yourself when you're out of your debt, and you just don't have the answer. And when you do that, your life will get better. And I know a lot of people, like myself, don't ask, humbling yourself to ask for help because you don't want somebody to tell you no. Or you don't want to feel like somebody's going to go behind your back and talk about you because you asked them for something. Not begging for something, just, hey, how do you do this? I don't know. Like, didn't you go in school and be like, you didn't ever do that? Hey, man, what's the answer to number 2? Like, everybody does it. That's how you learn. You got to ask. You got to ask a person. If you're spiritually looking for answers, like you just, wondering where your help's got to come from, you got to ask the higher power, whatever you call yourself believing in, source, God, Allah, Jesus, whatever. But you got to ask, or you're not going to receive. Matter of fact, it was like, what is the chick, Sandra Byrne? The Secret, Ask, Believe, Receive. Wasn't that her philosophy to that book? Ask, believe, and receive. You got to ask. You don't know. You're out of your depth. You don't know. When you're out of your element, ask. Find somebody to ask. Hey, like all these people with relationships. Like all these people like trying to get married. Like the man had to ask the woman to marry him. How was he going to know that she wanted to spend the rest of her life together with him if he didn't ask her? So that's the bottom line of the day. Word for the day here on the Narrator Podcast. Ask. All right. Or admit, or like, I said ask, but I believe the original topic was admit when you need help. Yeah, so that's the final word. Admit when you need help. So be honest with yourself. Admit when you need help. All right, that's it and that's all. It's been another full episode of the Narrator Podcast. Thanks for listening and tuning in. Till next time, another full episode. I broadcast every single weekend for full episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. I also broadcast during the week. So to, avoid missing a live broadcast of the Narrative Podcast, what you would need to do is follow me on social media, YouTube and Twitter. This audio platform that I'm on broadcasts directly to my YouTube and my Twitter. And my handles on YouTube and Twitter are Halsey Allen. So, my social media handles are Halsey Allen on YouTube and Twitter. Follow me and you won't miss me when I'm live. So for YouTube, click the subscribe button and then click the notification bell. You'll never miss me when I'm live. And then on Twitter, follow me, Halsey Allen. And I don't know how that works. I'm not too proficient on Twitter, but I do have a Twitter. But I guess you won't miss the alerts there either because it just automatically uploads to Twitter. What else I got going on? Oh yes, I write poetry. I have written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. The Black Card is an amalgamation of poetry that is reflective of our entire experience, the culture, aka the culture. 30 poems reflective of it, positive and negative, everything we experience as original men and original women. They are all unique, creative, and insightful. Do yourself the biggest favor and experience my book titled The Black Card. You can purchase The Black Card by visiting the bookstore on Poetizer.com, the Poetizer bookstore on Poetizer.com. Purchase The Black Card. And they make a great coffee table read, great traveling book, on a plane, train, automobile, however you're getting around, public bus, the train, you can read The Black Card. Make that a permanent fixture in your home today. Go online to Poetizer.com, purchase your copy of The Black Card at the Poetizer bookstore on Poetizer.com. And, Also, do me the hugest favor. Support my personal poetry blog titled Hallzies Poetry Corner at Hallzies Blogs. The email address is www.mrhalziesblogs.com. My tagline for that is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one, you'll find out why. And that's it and that's all. I'm out of here like last year. And see you again next time. Enjoy your Father's Day and your Memorial or Father's Day and Juneteenth. And I'm out of here like last year. Thanks for listening. Please download this episode and all previous episodes. I'm trying to find my theme. This episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast. Signing off, and it's like that.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.